Hello, everybody, and welcome, Akshat, to this interview debrief session with me. I'm extremely happy to have you here because you've come here to share your experience, your success journey on the GMAT. You started with the classic edition, but because there was a transition in the GMAT format, you were forced to choose the focus edition, and it went really well for you. You scored a 655, which is a great score, and you actually started with a 495 kind of a score when you began your GMAT journey with kind of a V77 and a Q75 score, and you then improved to a 655, which is a mammoth improvement with a V85, Q82, and a DI81. So thank you so much for being here and willing to share your journey. How are you doing, Akshat?
Yeah, firstly, thank you, Dhruv, for the introduction, and I'm doing absolutely fine. And yeah, it was a tough journey. I wouldn't say it came easy to me. It was like my initial score was a 410 when I took the classic GMAT, and
Right.
I don't think there could be anything lower than a 410, so I didn't have anything to lose. I just had to gain momentum, but then with time and perseverance, I did get to the score.
Yes, I remember uh, having conversations with you over the email in the initial part of your journey where I could see somebody who was starting at a lower ability but giving his everything to get into the groove and get into the momentum and then build up from there. So there was a lot of perseverance, as you rightly mentioned, which was involved in your journey. There was a lot of diligence also, and we in the onboarding sessions with new students, GMAT aspirants, always tell them that GMAT is just about maybe 20 to 30% of your smartness and intelligence, but it is 70% of your diligence, right? And I think you had that completely under your control. You were absolutely diligent. I have a lot of things uh, to testify your diligence, which I will show as we go through this session. But let us dive into your session straight away, and let's begin. So I remember you started your prep with the verbal section. Did you? Did you?
Yes, I did. Correct.
Right. So as I just mentioned, you were starting at a low verbal score. You were starting at a V77 kind of a score. What challenges did you face initially? What were your weaknesses? So just tell us about those.
Yeah, so before joining eGMAT, I used to prepare through YouTube and other resources. Probably I had bought the OG as well. So I used to do it through those resources. But then I did it like I did it over and over again, but still it didn't come to me like what the strategy is, what are they actually asking, what would be the major difference of approach between an assumption question and a different type of question, a strengthened question of sorts. So that those were the things like I really couldn't understand what they're trying to figure out or what they're trying to know about me through that question. So when so CR automatically became a nightmare for me. So I looked at a CR question and I was like, it has arrived again. So, and I used to get it wrong like 90% of the time. My initial accuracy before joining eGMAT was 10% for CR. And for RC, it would have been hardly 30%, that I was sure. So that's why I was sure that I will start with verbal because otherwise it will be at the back of my mind throughout my Quant and DI journey that verbal is still left. And it did take quite a good time. I think it took, according to the timeline that we had paced first, I think should have been completed within like 25 or 30 odd days. But then I took nearly 1.5 to 2 months to complete that. So, but
Right.
then another point that comes there, I did take 1.5 to 2 months. So my basics were really strong. Like
Right.
through all the like grueling sessions that I had. So it did make the like basics really strong. And that is
Right.
very important in all the three sections. Because
Hmm.
the harder questions are nothing but a compilation of the basics, and in less time the compilation makes it harder. That's all.
Right.
So for CR it was a real nightmare, but then with time and like I practiced it a lot. Even when I was doing quant and DI, I used to practice CR and RC daily. For CR, I used to like I had exhausted all the eGMAT resources, all the questions, hard,
Right.
medium. So I moved to GMAT Club, and then whatever questions I got. So then I built some strategies. Then I got to know that this is the thing that I need to do to complete the question in a short span of time.
Right.
So with CR, that was the case.
Right. Right. Now, because I was just talking about the diligence and I mentioned that I would testify it, I would just like to show something on the portal, which is a newly added feature, which you wouldn't really be aware of. So let me
Okay.
just show it. So this is the journey view, Akshat, right? These grades, you get graded on every file that you go through on the course. And these
Okay.
grades, if they are A minus, they indicate that you've been doing things extremely diligently, you've been understanding what you're learning, and you've been displaying the right kind of study habits and consistency. And look at your grades over here. Fantastic grades, right? Testifying your diligence on tackling CR, which was your weakness, right? So I just want to understand from you that pre-thinking was something that you struggled initially with, but with time it became friends with you, and you ended up scoring a V85 on the test, right? So you clearly had pre-thinking by your side to make CR, which was kind of notorious to you, become friendly with you. So just help us understand, how did pre-thinking help?
Yeah, so pre-thinking is something like not just critical thinking, but it is there subconsciously in your head throughout the GMAT exam and in life in general as well. I think pre-thinking is something that we all do. But then in CR, why is it critical? Because there could be like 1,000 things that might be happening, but it won't be related to the question or the
Exactly.
specifically the conclusion. And if
Yeah.
you do not pre-think in a way relating the premise to the conclusion or relating the, I guess it was called an anti-premise or something like that. So if you do not connect those and if you do not pre-think in that focused manner, you can come up with 1,000 answers and all five. Like in the easier questions, you will go to one option and then select it.
Right.
But in the harder questions, every option looks like it's the correct answer if you do
Right.
not pre-think. Because I have done it. Remember specifically, I used to, in between when pre-thinking was not working for me, I switched my approach and I was like, I'll think of it very logically and then I'll come up with an answer. But then when I looked at the five options, every option seemed 100% correct. And that's when I came to know that without pre-thinking, it won't be possible. So it was
Right.
really, pre-thinking is a must in CR.
Right.
Yeah.
To show your improvement in CR, I just share my screen again, because as you rightly mentioned, you were starting at a low ability and you look at this upward trend over here, right?
Yeah.
By the time you ended, and look at the time coming down to answer a question, right? So pre-thinking certainly played a major role in your CR resurgence, in your CR improvement. So that is great. You also went through your RC course very diligently, right? Was RC an issue? Was reading a passage in timely environment kind of sometimes pressurizing? How was it? How did you tackle RC?
Yeah, so RC during my initial preparation, RC did come a little natural to me. Like I am not like an avid reader, but then it didn't, or maybe because I had done CR so much, it didn't bother me
Yeah.
that much. But then when I got to the harder RCs, it all fell apart. I really couldn't do anything. So then, like I remember myself like I literally cried that day. The first time I cried was for this RC passage that after CR, I thought RC would be done faster, it would be done better, and it is even worse than what CR was. So I thought like it's gonna be really difficult. Like I was scared of the things that were coming, like they were coming towards me, the toughness of the RC passages. But then what I did was I reached out to you first that I thought I would be able to do RC, but I am not able to do RC. So what do I do? So the first thing that you suggested was RC is firstly reading and then comprehending. So reading comes through reading. Start reading. And then the Atlantic was an option that was given by you, the New Yorker. So
Yeah.
I had taken the New Yorker subscription. Now the articles were not at all related to what I was studying for the GMAT or what I was interested in. And I think when you read about something that you're not interested in, because there will be I got four passages in my exam, and all the four passages, like there might be one passage, for example, if you're an engineer, there might be a passage about engineering or science, but then the other three would be about humanities and economics and business. So read variety, and also try to read something that you do not like on a daily basis. So I used to read, like my office timings were 3:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. So before 3:30 I used to do what was going on, and then after 12:30 I used to revise my verbal when I got back home. So at that time I gave at least half an hour to just reading. Some days I would understand it, some day I would zone out, but then in the end I had to do 30 minutes of reading. That was my point. Yeah.
Right. And how did going through the RC course on the portal help you?
Yeah, so the questions, like the material is really amazing. You get every type of question, because there are like not every time you'll get a hard question. You do need some some practice for the easier or the medium level questions as well. If you do just the harder questions, or maybe it might be helpful to you just doing the harder questions, but it wasn't for me, because the approach, I guess I do not remember exactly what the approach was, but it was slightly different, because I got through the easier questions. Like you just have a look at them and you just feel that the vocabulary is easy, the size is a little less, so I can get through this faster. And it is about timing. So the variety of passages that I got on the eGMAT portal, and the questions that were related, and the questions were like amazing. Starting from this summary, I think that was the main point. Yeah, main point questions, and then the inference questions. So there were very different type of questions that were available there on the portal, and you get all types of questions in your exam, and you can get like not just those questions, main point, inference, but then in the actual exam you do get something out of the box as well. And that time, if you haven't practiced all these questions, the variety, you might like the exam, that question
Panic.
and the exam after that, it will be a domino effect. So you need to be prepared for that. So
Right.
eGMAT really helped me, like the portal really helped me with RC for that.
Right. I just show you your RC improvement. It's right here. You look at these hard questions. This is where you were, and you ended up here, right? In your last few attempts. So you clearly improved. I also want to show you your last 10 questions accuracy here. If you look at the hard question last 10, 70% for CR and 80% for RC. These are hard questions. This just translate to a V85, and you got there, right? So I think verbal scholarinium and the verbal section clearly prepared you to be where you were, and it was kind of predictable, right?
It,
Right, right. Now let's move on to the quant section, Akshat. Again, quant was kind of, I think you were at a V75 kind of a starting ability, Q75,
yeah.
right? And again, you went through the course diligently. How did the process skills that were taught on the course help you become better with quant?
I think like eGMAT's quant is unbeatable. They start like you start from the basics, and then while building your basic foundation, you go towards the harder questions, but then there's no skip in between. Like for example, I remember in the initial period, there is a this one called counting method or something, in which I guess, for example, the questions for divisors were how many divisors of 3, or how many multiples of 3 are there from 10 to 100. So then even that basic counting principle is very necessary. Like you know that you might know what the method is. 10 equal to 3, 9 is lower than that, so 3 into 3, 100 is 90, 33 into 3. But then from 33 to 3, how do you count how many are there? 33 minus 3 plus 1. So that the basics that were covered in the eGMAT portal, those are very, very critical in quant. Like you cannot do harder questions if your basics aren't clear. And everything on the eGMAT portal was like every basic or algorithm or the method was covered. And that's something like without that you can't do hard questions, and that is very necessary. And that gets your timing really like it gets your timing sorted. Because if you're thinking, there are various ways, because maths mein to you can do anything, but then the timing is a real issue, because 21 questions 45 minutes. So and then the harder questions, because in between you'll get like your 6 7 initial questions in quant might be easy or medium, you'll complete them on time, but then 5 questions you'll get which will, like, they are made to get your timing wrong. So if you have done those basic methods and those basic things correctly, you won't like your timing won't be hindered.
Right, right. So Akshat, while I was just going through your account, I realized that you leveraged Pace AI really well. It saved you countless number of hours. If I have to be precise, you saved around 29 to 30 hours of prep using the Pace AI. Did you realize while going through the course?
Yeah, yeah, I did. Because as I said, like I had done verbal, I had already taken more time than was needed. But then if Pace AI wasn't there, I would have probably gotten frustrated that why, because if I leave it, it will be at the back of my mind that I have left something. And right
Right,
now, what question I am doing, it might be related to what I have left. So what Pace AI did really well was I wasn't bothered about leaving that, because there is a diagnostic test before you get that like a quick pathway.
the
So
course. Yeah,
that's a diagnostic test that you do. So you already know that what's going to come. And yeah, so I did skip all these. And then that diagnostic, you sometimes think that this like these topics are really easy, but then that diagnostic quiz really helps you to know that this topic is something that you do struggle with, and you should not skip it. So whatever the algorithm gave, the topics that the algorithm gave me, I did all of them and skipped the rest, and it didn't bother me at all. So
right.
that's like, it's really amazing that that came into you guys' mind and you did implement
Yeah,
it, because it is very necessary.
right. And when you just save time, it is not just about saving time. As you rightly mentioned, it also tells you where the areas, what the areas of improvement are. And this is again a
Yes.
testament to your quant improvement. This is again hard questions, L10 stats, fabulous. But I have a question for you. Let me also show you how cementing performances help you. This is your medium cementing. This is your hard cementing. Just a one blip, but if you see, you just kept on improving. And these hard questions are genuinely hard. Please explain about the quality of questions on Scholaranium. How did you feel? Were they close to the official GMAT?
I think eGMAT's quant is unparalleled. Like the quality of the questions, the mentorship that you give specifically for quant, like it's unparalleled. And the question, I don't think like there was a question that wasn't covered in the like on the portal. Like as you can see, there are 688 questions. So if you do nearly 700 questions, there won't be anything that would be coming outside of it. And all the questions, the hard questions were hard, the medium questions were medium. Yeah, so it wasn't like there might be a hard question that might pop up in the medium section, and you might think, oh, this is the
Right,
medium, this is a medium question, what am I going to do with the harder ones? So that's something that was really, like, really good about the this quant portal. So the hard questions, the questions in the hard section were hard, and were hard because I have taken the GMAT, and then I remember the questions that were there. Those were the hard
right,
questions which I had done in the hard section of the Quant portal, and the medium questions were the ones that I did in the medium portal, and nothing escaped those, no mixing up and nothing of that sorts.
right, right. Uh, So Akshat, as I said, the stats that we just saw, they indicate that you should have gotten to at least a Q80 687, if not more. Why do you think were you not able to replicate or execute things on that given day in the quant section? Did you underperform?
I did like so I'll tell you what two things happened. So the official mocks, the GMAT's official MBA.com's official mocks that are there, their algorithm is a little different from the actual exam. So this is something
Okay.
that aspirants would be benefited from. So the mocks, I remember what the pattern was, you'll get 6, 7 easy questions or medium questions. Then some questions, 5 questions you'll get, or like that's like ballpark there, 3 to 5 questions would be there, which are made to get your timing wrong, which are made to get you to miss a couple of questions in the end. But then those are the questions you take your time, and then because there are at max there are 3 to 4 questions that will get you to like really grind yourself, and again it will dip. That's the thing that happened with the mocks, because like you can take the single mock 2 times, so like with all the 10 or 12 mocks that were there, the same thing happened. But then in the real exam, what and yeah, so if I got like 3 questions wrong, my percentile was 90 plus. That was for sure. If I got 3 to 4 questions wrong, then with more questions, like it was like that graphically. But then in the actual exam, what happens at the in the GMAT, like what used to happen in the GMAT. If you miss an easy question, if you get it wrong, you will be penalized higher than what you'll be penalized for a harder question, and that's what happened. So in my actual exam, I got 18 out of 21 questions correct, which is nearly a 90% accuracy. But then I got a 76th percentile, which was not the case in the official mocks. If I had gotten 3 questions wrong, it was always 90 plus, like I think 93 to 94th percentile. That's for sure. Because I did get a 715 on a mock as well. And in
Right.
that, I had done all of these. And I can bet like the accuracy wouldn't have been more. Like I never got all the quant questions correct in any of my mocks or in my GMAT exam. It was 18 to 20 that,
Mhm.
but then because I did get an easy question wrong, it penalized me and that dipped it to 76 percentile.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Was it the first question?
It wasn't the first question. I think it was the third question.
Too early, basically.
Yeah, yeah. So too early in the exam because quant is something that I like. It was the first section that I did. So
Right.
it didn't have the what my performance level is. So it was still the algorithm was setting itself up. So
Mm.
maybe or not maybe like it was because of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
because
then
when the
with the
question,
it
yeah.
was please.
No, no, please go ahead.
So, but the pattern of the questions was similar to the official mocks. Like initially easier questions, then 3 to 4 really hard questions. That's a strategy that I had made. That because in quant, what I was doing was I was really bothered about finishing the question like really fast because there are harder questions coming and I will need time for those. But then you need to understand that in the end, there will be easy questions as well. Because the GMAT knows that it is not possible to do if we give them 10 hard questions in a row, it is not possible to complete on time. So you need to keep that in mind that after these 3 to 4 questions pass by, there will be 10 again medium questions. There might
Okay.
be a couple of hiccups, but then there would be such questions. So just take your time. It might take 3 to 4 minutes as well for a question. Take it, but you need to be equally good with other questions as well. If
Mm.
you can like take the time to do that, if you can afford that, you should do it.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for those insights because a lot of people really would like want to usually understand how the real GMAT, official GMAT works
Yeah, yeah,
and how
yeah.
does the scoring work because it's still pretty much a secret and then it's not out there. It's pretty mysterious even now. All right. Coming to your DI, now you were one of those early focus edition test takers, right? who did not know much about what DI would be, how would the DI course be, what are you supposed to do? Because initially everybody thought IR is nothing but a shorter version of DI, and DI is a comprehensive version of IR. But I'm sure you would vouch for it that it's not the case. It's DI is
Not at
completely
all.
different.
Yeah.
And we had just introduced the DI course, right? What set your trust in our DI course, and how did the DI course on the eGMAT platform help you get to the 90th percentile in DI?
Yeah, so again, like the DI content, because if you look Google up and write data insights questions for GMAT, just right now, maybe there would be in January when I had taken the test, or I had started preparing last year, December itself for DI section, there was nothing. Like there were maybe on GMAT Club itself, which is the biggest GMAT platform. So on GMAT Club itself, there were no DI questions. There might have been some two-part analysis questions and that IR, because I hadn't prepared for the IR section on the last legacy GMAT. So I don't know what the questions were, but they were drastically different from what the actual questions were in the DI section. So on the eGMAT portal, the questions that were there, those were the questions that are actually asked in the exam. And those are the questions that you need to prepare. Because, for example, MSR, there might be some MSR that might be more RC related, that might require more reading. There might be some which are like more graphically oriented. So all
Right.
those questions that are there, you need to practice all of them, because there is a slight tweak in the strategy that you need to apply. For the RC question, like for the long passage question, MSR questions, you need to read it like an RC passage, and there's no other way. But then for a graphical question, you first need to have a look at the graphs and then look at what it is asking. Like that was those were my personal strategies. But then you will get an idea that all these questions exist and anything might be asked. Similar for two-part analysis and the other type of questions that were there. So the variety of questions, again, similar to what I said in the CR section, the variety of questions that are there. Specifically for DIY, it was important because there wasn't any resource available. Even in the, if you take a look at the OG, the DIOG for that. So even in that, the questions weren't of this variety, and that is required because though the questions are really long, very time consuming, and then there is such a variety that if you haven't had a look, you will falter, you might get nervous, and then nervousness at the GMAT is like suicide.
Yeah.
So that's it. Yeah.
So you went through the DI course very diligently again. If I have to show you your grades again, there's just one C, but it's all A across,
Hmm.
right? So again, indicating that diligence overpowers natural abilities. And then look at your MSR. MSR is dreaded by people. People are scared of it.
Yeah.
But look at your hard cementing performance. It's great, right? And so you were again on course to score at least a 90th percentile on the DI, and I think you executed things really well there, right? So after you did your quant did not go as planned, the next section you attempted on the test day was your DI,
Yeah.
right? Any tips on how to go about the DI section on the test day?
Yeah, sure. So what I had like there was this basic pattern that TPA questions four would be there. Then other I cannot recall what the two other
That's
types were.
okay.
There were four types. So MSR was one, TP yeah, graphical analysis, and then the fourth type, what was
DS.
it? So for MSR is the most time consuming one. But then like in the initial mocks, there was one this MSR that was there. But then in the subsequent mocks, what I saw was I got two MSRs. So what strategy I had made was I will skip the MSR, do the rest because I can do the three questions later on. So there at max there will be three questions related to that MSR. So I would go and then I would come back if I had the time left. But then the problem was, what if there are two MSRs in the question? So I cannot do 6 questions. That's not an option. You can do at max 3 questions. So what I did was, and then again, the GMAT is not that cruel. One MSR would be hard and one would be really easy. That's for sure. Because otherwise, you can't do it in 20 minutes, 45 minutes, 20 questions, really long questions. You cannot do it.
Yeah.
So they do not do that. So what my personal strategy was, and I had told this to Payal as well. She also got intrigued by it. But then I saw the MSR question, first MSR, I skipped it right away. Probably I won't be getting another MSR. I'll do the other questions, come back to this MSR. Even if I get another MSR, I'll see which one of them is easier. Just do the harder ones because I was sure I would skip the MSR. I don't mind doing 17 questions because if you do 17 questions correctly or even 15 you get 2 out of those 17 also wrong, you will get 90 plus percentile, that's for sure. Even 97 percentile you might get if you get those correct. So what I did was in that just a second, I just zoned out. Yeah. So what I did was I saw which the easier MSR was. I came back to that one. And for sure, and it won't be time consuming. That easy MSR would be it will come really fast. Like within 2 to 3 minutes, you'll do all the 3 questions. So that's something. And if you're really good at it, you go for the 20 questions. Otherwise, just keep in mind that with 17 questions correct as well, you will get a really, really good score. You might get a 99 percentile as well if you do all the 17 correct.
You're right. You're right. And you ended up with the 90th percentile
Right.
and an overall score of a 655, more than a 150-point improvement within, I think, 3 to 4 months. Fabulous. Now, when you look back at your journey, do you have any tips or advice for the GMAT aspirants who are planning to start their journey?
Yeah, sure. So just my motivation or my why of studying, why am I studying today was very simple. I do not want to study too much. I do not want to study it after my first attempt. That was my motivation. I did not have, I want to go to this B school or that B school. That was at the back of my mind. But then my motivation was this because if I do not study properly right now, I will have to study because anyways I'll have to pass because I have taken this route. If I leave it, then I'll be like, why did I even waste 6 to 7 months on this?
Yeah.
There was no point. But then since I have gotten into it, I should be doing it very diligently, very consistently. With work, it does get overwhelming. And GMAT is something which, it might come naturally just to 2% of the population. But the 98 rest will have to work hard because you might be good at quant, verbal will pull you back. You might be good at verbal, quant and DI will pull you back.
Yeah.
So you need to keep that in mind. It is something, and especially there is a compounding effect. For example, if you work out, for people who work out, they will relate to it more. Like you do not get your abs or your body and your muscles within like 1 month of going there. But then there is a compounding effect that's there. It suddenly hits that point when everything starts to fall in place. And
Yeah.
with every section on the GMAT, whichever section you find hard, you will get that compound effect. Just believe in yourself, just tweak because there might be some tweaks in your mindset for the better. Because I was someone in the initial periods of I did get some really hard questions on eGMAT. So I thought that इतने हार्ड क्वेश्चंस तो आएंगे नहीं ओरिजिनल एग्जाम में सो आई नीड नॉट वरी बट देन देयर वाज अ स्लाइट mindset tweak. I give it to God, by God's grace it was a mindset shift ki like I should be prepared even if these questions come on that exam. I should be prepared even if harder questions come on the exam. It should not matter to me because the basic funda is the same. So why should it matter to me these are really hard questions and I will do lesser questions because the GMAT doesn't have. Because in RC there is this debate that goes on online that LSAT passages are really long and then GMAT you won't get that. So just don't do it. Do the easier ones. But if you are really good at comprehension, reading comprehension, that's what they're trying to test, right? You should be able to comprehend any passage, be it LSAT or GMAT. So that's something, that's a mindset that you should have. Just becoming the best at whatever section we are doing. There should be nothing else. And then consistency, like I was really active on Instagram. I was really like, even right now, I'm really active. I used to talk to my friends all day. But then for the 4 months, the day I bought the eGMAT package, from that day to this one, there was Rakhi, there was Diwali, there was my birthday, there was New Year. I did not celebrate anything. I just saw a couple of matches from the World Cup, but those also just India's batting. So like I am a person who used to watch cricket 24/7, but then those favorite things of yours are something that you will have to leave. Because again, I think you can use this motivation. You'll have to study after the first attempt. If you do not study within this time frame, then there's no
Yeah,
point doing it. And then paying 27K again and again. So there's no point. So that's the a motivation that I had. And then you will feel tired and all. Just do less, just do the easier questions, but do it on a daily basis. And weekends, to instead of partying, weekends are your blessings, I'd say. Like there's nothing, no office work, nothing. You have a good 24 hours. You do not have to devote 8 hours to work. So during those days, you should be just studying for the GMAT. If you've gotten into it, just get done with it ASAP.
yeah.
That's what I feel.
Right. Thank you so much for your advice. Thank you so much for allowing us to discuss your journey, because there are a lot of people who would be starting at kind of a starting ability like you, who are looking for an inspiration, and your journey would be that inspiration for them. So thank you so much for doing this, Akshat. And with this, we come to the end of the session. We wish you all the best for your future endeavors. Please keep in touch.
Yeah, one more thing, bro, just the last
Please
point.
go ahead.
Yeah. So like something that was really good with eGMAT was like that I got you as my mentor, because I really
Oh,
remember I was in my office, and then CR was the first section that I was preparing. I was getting all of it wrong, and then your mail popped. I asked you that what's the thing that I'm doing wrong, and then you said that like that's something that you'll have to figure out, and I was like, they are my mentor. I thought they will tell me what I'm doing wrong, and they're asking me what it is. And like I really was shocked that I will have to find out. And how will I find out when I am not able to do these questions? How will I find out? With time, I found out. You did send me a video as well. These are the questions that you're doing wrong, and
yeah.
these questions though should not be done wrong after 1 month of preparation. And I was scared. I was in office, and I thought tomorrow I'll have to study again for CR. I've come to RC. After coming to RC, I didn't go back to CR when you
Yeah.
said. So that was really shocking. But then that's something which was very, very critical. You pushed me to my limits. Like that was so important because in my mind I had done it. I had exhausted myself to the core. But then it was so important for someone to be there, and you were the one there who pushed me like till you get this done, you aren't going to the next section. Be it your
Yeah.
nightmare or your like strength, you will have to stay here, you will have to do it. And that was something like remarkable, like which turned it around for me. So you
Wow,
pushing
I'm
me.
so
And then
glad.
in business, basically the thing that you said, you will have to find yourself. GMAT is for a B school, and B school is for doing your own business or managing a business later on. That's like the starting GMAT. I like this exam because it is very like closely related to what the business world is. So you will
Yeah.
what does an entrepreneur do? He starts a business, he's not performing, the company is not performing in a market. You find out why is it not performing. And exactly that's what I was doing from day one with eGMAT and with you. You find out why what the mistake is. where are you going wrong? And that's from there, that mindset of finding out things and finding what's going wrong, that'll only, I'll just carry it over to whatever business that I do tomorrow. So
Yeah.
that was really amazing, and really thank you for all the guidance and the help and the appreciation also that you did all the way. So really thank you.
Thank you so much, Akshat. It was a pleasure to have been a part of your journey. I might have been a little harsh sometimes, but it was only to help you be here today, right? So
Yeah,
I'm
did
glad
work.
that you understood that. Uh, and but the credit goes to you because all of this wouldn't have made sense if you wouldn't have done things diligently. So again, I pass that to you. All the credit to you. Your
I
journey.
passed that to God.
Okay, either ways.
Yeah.
Fine. So thank you so much, Akshat, for all the kind words, for sharing your journey. Please keep in touch. I would love to know what you do ahead in life, what business you do, and how well you do in life. So thank you so much.
Sure, Dhruv. We'll surely keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.